I mean, this dude is a guy that is a four-time champion, a four-time league MVP. I mean, LeBron could hardly look at me and Rich Paul and Maverick and everybody losing their damn mind. I got him number 2 all time. He's the reason you knew about basketball in Greece, for crying out loud. It's because of Michael Jordan. And that's an insult to people like Shannon Sharpe and Rich Paul and these guys. It's ridiculous.
Welcome back to NBA Showdown, the channel where we break down the biggest debates in the NBA and deliver the truth without sugarcoating anything. Today, we're diving deep into a heated discussion sparked by Stephen A. Smith, who recently called out Shannon Sharpe and Rich Paul for overreacting to the LeBron James GOAT debate. This is a debate that has raged for years, with emotions always running high whenever LeBron's legacy is compared to Michael Jordan's. Fans, analysts, and even players themselves can't resist taking sides. But Stephen A. is crystal clear in his stance. LeBron James is an all-time great, a once-in-a-generation talent, and a player whose career will stand the test of time. But he is not the greatest of all time. And today, we're going to break down exactly why Stephen A. feels this way, and why the numbers, the accomplishments, and most importantly, the intangibles all point to Jordan being the one true GOAT. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown of the biggest stories in basketball. And do not forget to like this video if you believe Michael Jordan's legacy as the GOAT should never be questioned. Now, let's get into it. Stephen A. Smith begins by pointing out LeBron James's influence in today's NBA. He describes LeBron as a godfather or an uncle figure to most of the players currently in the league, and is absolutely right. Younger players look up to him not just for his skills, but for his professionalism, his longevity, and the way he has carried himself through over 2 decades in the spotlight. His voice carries weight. His mentorship has shaped careers. His leadership extends beyond the hardwood and into the fabric of modern NBA culture. This is an incredible achievement in itself. To be playing at an elite level after 21 seasons, still commanding respect from your peers, still being seen as a role model for the next generation, that is greatness in its own right. But here's the key distinction. Influence is not the same as dominance. Being respected is admirable. Being beloved is commendable. But when we talk about the GOAT, the conversation shifts away from mentorship and culture to something far more ruthless, absolute dominance. Michael Jordan wasn't the godfather of the league. He was the undisputed king. Players didn't just respect Jordan. They feared him. The mere thought of facing him in the playoffs was enough to break teams mentally before the game even started. Jordan didn't just mentor, he conquered. He didn't just inspire, he destroyed. His presence wasn't about guidance, it was about devastation. Think about the contrast. LeBron's leadership often shows up as encouragement, as lifting others up, as being the trusted veteran that teammates rely on. Jordan's leadership was far more merciless. He demanded perfection. He would get in your face. He would break you down in practice if you weren't ready to rise to his level. And on game nights, he didn't just want to beat you. He wanted to embarrass you. That mentality translated into 6 finals appearances, 6 finals victories, 6 finals MVPs, and 2 three-peats. LeBron's role as a godfather figure shows his place in the modern NBA culture. But that is not the same as cementing himself as the undisputed greatest. Influence can make you beloved, but fear and dominance are what make you the GOAT. And that's the heart of Stephen A.'s argument. LeBron has influence. LeBron has longevity. LeBron has respect. But Michael Jordan's impact went beyond all of that. He didn't just inspire a generation of players. He transformed the entire culture of basketball. He made winning the only standard that mattered. He turned the NBA into a global empire, and he ruled with such fear and dominance that even his opponents couldn't deny his greatness.
LeBron James is like a godfather or an uncle. I'm sure you can relate, He's like a godfather or an uncle to most of the damn players.
In the next part of his argument, Stephen A. Smith makes something very clear. LeBron James is a 4-time NBA champion, a 4-time league MVP, and still one of the most decorated players the sport has ever seen. His resume is legendary. Over 2 decades of dominance, countless records, and a career that will stand as one of the greatest stories in professional sports history. But even with all of that, Stephen A. still places LeBron firmly at number 2 on the all-time list. And this is exactly where the controversy begins. People like Shannon Sharpe and Rich Paul hear number 2 and immediately interpret it as disrespect. In their eyes, calling LeBron the second greatest player in history somehow diminishes everything he has achieved. But Stephen A. pushes back hard against this narrative. He argues that ranking LeBron second all-time isn't disrespect at all. In fact, it's the ultimate form of respect. Think about it. The NBA has been around for nearly 8 decades. Thousands of players have stepped foot on that court, from legends like Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and so many others. To put LeBron ahead of all of them and say only one man, Michael Jordan, sits above him is not an insult. It's a recognition of unparalleled greatness. This is where perspective matters. Being number 2 out of thousands is not a slight. It's an honor that very few athletes across any sport can claim. But here's the problem. Because LeBron is compared so often to Jordan, the bar has been set unrealistically high. Anything less than number 1 is painted as a failure. And that, Stephen A. insists, is where the conversation has been completely distorted. Why? Because Michael Jordan's standard was perfection. 6 NBA Finals appearances, 6 NBA championships, 6 Finals MVPs, no Game 7s needed, no blemishes on his championship record. Every time he got to the mountaintop, he finished the job. That level of dominance created a shadow so large that no one, not even LeBron, can truly step out of it.so when Stephen A. says LeBron is number 2. It's not an attack. It's simply an acknowledgement of reality. LeBron's 4 titles and 4 MVPs are extraordinary, historic, and absolutely cement his place among the greatest of the greats, alongside Kareem, Kobe, Magic, Bird, Duncan, and the pantheon of legends. But the GOAT conversation isn't about being in the room. It's about being untouchable. And that's where Jordan stands alone. Stephen A.'s frustration comes from the way people twist his words. Acknowledging LeBron as the second greatest player in history gets spun as some sort of attack on his career, when in truth, it's the exact opposite. It's a compliment of the highest order. But it's also an acknowledgement that no matter how many more points LeBron scores, no matter how many more years he plays, he will never climb into that number 1 spot. That throne belongs to Jordan, and Jordan alone.
This dude is a guy that is a 4-time champion, a 4-time league MVP. I mean, LeBron could hardly look at me and Rich Paul and Maverick and everybody losing their damn mind. I got him number 2 all time.
Stephen A. Smith doesn't hold back when it comes to addressing the reactions of Shannon Sharpe and Rich Paul. He flat out calls it weird that they interpret his ranking of LeBron James as the second greatest player of all time as some sort of insult. In fact, he goes even further, calling the entire idea ridiculous. And is absolutely right. The fact that this debate has spiraled into emotional outbursts instead of logical analysis shows just how sensitive the LeBron camp has become. Too often, LeBron supporters try to move the goalposts, rewriting the standards of greatness in order to elevate his legacy above Jordan's. But Stephen A. refuses to play that game. He's not bending the criteria. He's not changing the facts. He's standing firm. LeBron is number 2, and that's not disrespect. That's reality. Think about how absurd this has gotten. We've reached a point where calling someone the second greatest basketball player in the history of the world is treated like an insult. That's nonsense. Imagine telling Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a man who dominated the league for 2 decades, who still holds the record for most MVP award with 6, that even with all that, he's still ranked behind both Jordan and LeBron. Does that diminish Kareem's legacy? Of course not. It cements him as one of the greatest ever step on the hardwood. The same logic applies to LeBron. Being ranked number 2 is not shameful. It's remarkable. It's historic. It's legendary. But when his fans and representatives act like anything less than number 1 is a slap in the face, what it really shows is insecurity. And here's a difference Stephen A. is pointing out. Michael Jordan's greatness never needed defense. His legacy speaks for itself. His fans never had to launch campaigns or overreact to criticism because a resume, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, unblemished dominance, silenced all arguments on its own. Simply saying the name Michael Jordan ends a conversation. LeBron, on the other hand, as great as he is, exists in a constant state of defense. His legacy is always accompanied by explanations, comparisons, and campaigns from his supporters, whether it's Shannon Sharpe on TV or Rich Paul behind the scenes. That's the biggest difference. When you are truly the GOAT, the debate dies. When you're chasing the GOAT, the debate never ends. And Stephen A is calling out that insecurity directly. His not being disrespectful. His being honest. LeBron is second only to Jordan. And if that reality feels like disrespect, then maybe the problem isn't with the ranking. Maybe the problem is with how insecure the LeBron camp has become.
And that's an insult to people like Shannon Sharpe and Rich Paul and these guys. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Stephen A makes a devastating point that slices right to the core of the GOAT debate. Michael Jordan never, not once, allowed an NBA Finals series to reach a Game 7. Every time he got to the finals, he finished the job in 6 games or fewer. That's not just winning. That's dominance. That's control. That's closing the door and locking it shut before the opponent even had a chance to breathe. That is why his finals record stands at a perfect 6-0. It's not just untouchable, it's the gold standard. 6 trips, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs. No cracks, no blemishes, no what ifs. Jordan's legacy is built on the absolute certainty that when the stage was biggest, he was bigger. Now, compare that with LeBron James. His greatness? Undeniable. His longevity? Historic. But his finals resume tells a very different story. 6 losses. Painful defeats. From the shocking collapse against the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 to being steamrolled by the Golden State Warriors superteam, LeBron's final career is a mixture of triumph and heartbreak. And while LeBron's offenders always rush to point out the competition he faced, Stephen A is quick to remind us, Jordan faced his own gauntlet of legends. He took on Magic Johnson, Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, John Stockton, and he never failed on the biggest stage. When you are the GOAT, you don't make excuses about who you were up against. You rise above everyone. Period. Stephen A adds another sharp distinction. With LeBron, there's always been a conversation about peers, whether it was Kobe Bryant in the 2000s or Kevin Durant in the 2010s. There's always been debate about who was better or at least on his level. That debate never existed with Jordan. Nobody in the 90s seriously claimed Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, or Patrick Ewing were better than him. It wasn't even a discussion. The hierarchy was crystal clear. Michael Jordan was number 1, and everybody else was chasing him. That's the difference. Greatness isn't only measured by what you achieve. It's measured by how unquestionably you tower over your entire era. Jordan was the standard, the undisputed alpha. LeBron, for all his brilliance, has never had that same unchallenged aura. And that is why Stephen A says a gap remains. Jordan didn't just win. He conquered. He didn't just play. He ended debates. And until LeBron can erase those finals blemishes, which at this stage is impossible, he will never sit on the same throne.